Hello and welcome back to the offensive line. This week on our episode, we have a very special guest. Not that our guests before have not been special at all, but Ian is another one of our cameramen, one of the ones helping us film for the offensive line, who has been behind the camera all the time with when Josh and I are up here. So now it's his opportunity to be in front of the camera as well. And as you can see, because he's a special guest, we had to have special matching outfits, matching RGC sweatshirts, and matching pants as well. So please welcome Ian onto our episode. And today he'll be talking about the question, do you think that there is evil in this world?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I think it's really exciting just to be able to be on the offensive line and just to share more about personal evangelism and specifically how I like to use the question, do you think there's evil in this world? I think that question is just a great question to get people to think about, the world in general, because I think these days the tendency for people, for the most part, is just to stay thoughtless throughout most of their lives as they go about their daily business. Because, the more people think about things, the more they get stressed. And to avoid this, they'd rather just go about living their lives in ignorance. And I think bringing up the topic of, whether or not there is evil in this world is a fairly simple question to ask, but it's also thought-provoking in the sense that it opens up people to actually think about the world on a more larger scale versus their usual normal tendencies of just focusing on their own lives and maybe just what they're doing in the moment.
Yeah, for sure. I think you bring up a very good point, Ian, which is that a lot of people just like to ignore what's going on, right? You just look on the news and you look at, you think about what's going on even in recent history, and there's no question that there is evil in the world. It's just, and then that opens the door to now you're able to share, well, yeah, there is evil in the world, but evil was ordained by our God who is sovereign. But at the same time, even though there is evil in the world, that our God is the very opposite of that, right? He is good. He's a very definition of good, and then you can go in and share the gospel with him, right? It was evil that actually crucified the Son of God on the cross. Although even that was ordained by God. If we believe in him, we will not perish but have eternal life, which is, John 3:16, a very famous verse that we always talk about, that Christians know, even non-Christians know probably by heart, that is basically just summed up the gospel right then and there. So Ian, kind of changing gears a little bit, you've already talked about this question and what happens when you use this question, what kind of doors open when you use this question. Now I want to ask you, as I do all of our guests that have appeared on this show, when would you use this specific question as opposed to others? Like, for example, some of our previous questions were, what gives you fulfillment in life? How do you know what is good? How do you, what makes life worth living, kind of thing. So when would you ask this specific question about evil and the existence of evil?
Yeah, I think one instance that I really like to use this question in is a pretty common response that I get when doing evangelism, especially cold contact evangelism, is, when people say, like, why are you out here evangelizing? Why does it matter what I believe? I'm not really harming anyone with my beliefs. And that's when I like to bring up the question, do you think there is evil? To try and get them to think, there are consequences to what their beliefs are, because what their beliefs are changes depending on what they believe is good and what they believe is evil.
Yeah.
And regardless of their beliefs, there is an objective good and there is an objective evil. And obviously in the sight of God, those things matter. So that's specifically when I would try to bring up this conversation and therefore open up more conversations about God, about good and evil, and specifically what that means.
Oh yeah, that's a very obvious time to use that question. I think to kind of pull that question out and to use it to kind of gear the direction towards talking about, well, yeah, there is evil in the world, and how what we are trying to do in evangelizing is to share the goodness of God, right? That's the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for sharing some of your thoughts. And are there in all of your evangelism experiences, being active in doing evangelism, cold contact evangelism, like you said, whether it's for a church, whether even relational with friends, other classmates, things like that. Are there any evangelism opportunities that you've had recently? Maybe things that we can be praying for, just for us, for the viewers to get to know you, for myself to get to know as well?
Actually, more of a long-term evangelism opportunity that I've had, even these past couple years that I've been at UCSD specifically, has been a classmate of mine who, when I first got to UCSD, we had a lot of classes together, and he was very much interested in Christianity, in religion. And I invited him out a lot to our church's events. He was very interested in attending our doubt nights, which I know you've mentioned previously, and those have been very fruitful. But yeah, I think lately he has been definitely a lot more distant. So you can definitely be praying for my evangelism to him. We are still in contact. We are still close friends. So I'm very thankful that God has still given me the opportunity and still gives me the opportunity to continue to minister to him and just to share truth and pour truth into his life. So I'm definitely looking forward to meeting up with him more consistently. We don't currently have any classes together, but I'm still praying for him, still praying that I will have more classes with him in the future. So Lord willing, I'll be able to continue to minister to him, and just look forward to seeing how the Lord will bear fruit in our conversations as well.
For sure. Well, thanks for sharing, Ian. On this episode, right, we heard from Ian and his use of this question and his evangelism opportunities. If you want to know more, if you have any comments about what we've said, if you want to know more about Ian's evangelism opportunities, have questions about that, leave a comment down below and I'll have Ian answer it. So you can hear from him personally how things are going. If you haven't yet liked our video, if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, please do so you can get more videos like this, so we can release more videos like this for you. You can follow us on Facebook and on Instagram. And with that being said, we are the offensive line. Great evangelists ask great questions. And we'll see you next time. With that being said, we are the offensive line, and Sorry, I did it early.
I was like, I wasn't ready.
Let's redo that. Like last time, we were just redo that one time.